there. Yeah, it didn't start it. Okay, so the possible rational roots, let me just run through it real quick again. We're plus or minus 7 and 1 because it's factors of the last number over factors of the first number. Okay, so then we had to do a division. Now, because I had specifically warned you about this, I got tricky. Did you catch it?
Yes.
I got tricky because what's missing right here?
Oh, that's right, Jack.
The squared term is missing.
That's right, Jack it up.
So out in the box, I hope you put a negative 1. Out in the box, I hope you put a negative 1. And then your numbers here were 3, -2, 0, 5, and -7. Now, even if you missed that, do you see why you should have had a 0 in there now?
Yeah.
Because x to the 4th, x cubed, there's no x squared. All right? Okay, so then drop down to 3.
Now you know.
Yeah.
You can't do it again.
Yeah.
So that's what my division looked like. Is that what yours looked like?
Yep.
You gotta lose to learn. That's what I got.
So the quotient, for the quotient, we have 3x to the 3rd minus 5x squared plus 5x.
Oh.
And then if you want to put plus 0, you can, but you don't need to. That's up to you. And then your remainder
It's 0.
is, no, it's not 0. Your remainder is -7 over x plus 1.
Oh.
Right?
Do you
So
need
this part,
on the quotient? Do you need that plus 0 though?
no, you don't. You don't. That does not have to be there. That can be not there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this part is the quotient. Everything except the last number is the quotient. The last number is your remainder.
Is that how it's gonna be like formatted on the test?
Yep. And then we have a sketch. So I wanted to leave some extra room for that. So the sketch now, start by doing what? What is the very first thing you do?
Find the point.
You're going to plot your points. And your points are going to be plotted at -1, 0, 2, 0, and -3, 0. So everybody's got the points in the right spot, right? Everybody got the points in the right spot? All right. Now, this is important. How many x's are there total in this problem? 4. 4. 4 is even. Evens are like x squareds. That's an even number. Evens act like this. They start up here, do whatever they do, and then end up here. Right? That's how evens do it. But this even has a negative in front of it. What do negatives in front of your picture? Turn it upside down. So an even should start up. But this one is going to start down. This one has to start down here.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I did it like.
But I did it wrong.
Okay.
I did it.
I did that all?
I did it right.
So guys, are you're going through all this logic in your head. You count up the x's. There's 4 of them. That's even. Even is up. This is what evens look like. Unless you put a negative in front of them and then they look like this. So it starts down here. Now, when it hits this dot, it has 2 choices. It's going to go through or it's going to bounce off. Since that dot came from this factor and there's no exponent, it's going to go right through. And it's going to come down and connect to the next dot. Now, when it gets to that dot, I have to ask myself the same question. Am I going to bounce off or am I going to go through? So I'm going to look up here that dot came from here. There's no exponent. That means it goes through. Comes up and connects to that one. Now that dot came from this factor, and that is squared. So that means it's going to bounce back off. Remember when we said it would be down, down? That's how it is, right? Down, down. Starts down here, ends down here. All right, anybody have a question about that one? Okay? All right, then let's get out our practice test. We have a little bit of time. We'll roll through whatever we can get through here. So we're on practice test 1, and I think we're ready for number 8. All right, we ready for number 8? It says factor and sketch. So you're going to be doing this, basically, what we just did. But the problem is, the picture doesn't, or I mean, excuse me, the equation doesn't look like this. You have to make the equation look like this. So look at it. Look at problem number 8. What do you think? You can take stuff out. In other words, you can factor by grouping. Kids, are you always going to be able to factor by grouping? No. But this one does, because we can take an x squared out of the first 2. Is that all right with everybody? Taking an x squared out of the first 2. And then what can come out of the last 2? Negative 9. And when you pull out a negative 9, your 36 becomes a positive 4. Your negative 36. So just exactly what we wanted to happen, happened. We have the same parentheses. And then we have the x squared minus 9 left over part, which factors into x plus 3, x minus 3. Now the problem looks just like the one on our little exercise a minute ago. All parentheses now.
Does the order matter?
Nope, the order does not matter. So now I can graph it. Now I can go to my coordinate axis system. Where will I put my dots? Negative 4, negative 3, and positive 3, right? Okay. Now, how many x's does this problem have? 3, right? 3. 3's odd. Odd doesn't act like even. Odd acts like this. Odd starts down here, right? Now, is there a negative in front of this problem anywhere?
No.
No. So I'm not flipping this over. This is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to start down here. Now this is kind of an easy one because we don't have any exponents, do we? So that means every time I hit, I'm just going to go through and connect. So go through and connect, go through and connect, go through. Looks like that. I think you can do that problem, guys. That is not a hard problem. You got that. Now the next one, on the other hand, is a little bit tougher. Because the next one does not factor by grouping. Now I kind of put a clue in the problem because I said list the PRRs. And when I ask you to list the PRRs, that usually means you're gonna have to do what? Yes?
Got it.
Yeah. So what are the PRRs for this problem? Yeah, we got kind of lucky. The PRRs are plus or minus 1. So what do you want to try? 1? So remember, when I say what do you want to try, I mean we're going to divide. And hope. Oh, you did it. Now, what if we hadn't gotten 0? What if we'd gotten some other number? Then what would you do?
Try negative.
Try -1. Yep. You're gonna keep guessing until you get 1 that gives you 0. And I promise you'll be able to do that. You might not get it on your first guess, but every problem you will be able to get a 0. Okay? So your job is to find the roots. One of the roots is 1. It worked. The roots are the dots on the picture. So that would be a dot on the picture if I were graphing it.
Are we ever gonna graph it?
Not this one, we're not. You'll see why in a second. What do I do now? There's 2 more roots. I have to find all 3 of them. There's 3 altogether. I have to find all 3 of them. So where do I look now for the other 2? Right here, right? The quotient, which is x squared plus 3x plus 1. Oh shoot, we did a bunch of these at the beginning of the period, and we always just factored this thing, right? Shoot.
Can't factor.
Can't factor.
Do the quadratic formula.
Quadratic formula, there you go. Kids, I'm not gonna give anything you're not capable of. This is a squared equation, right? This is a squared equation. If you can't factor it, you're gonna do the quadratic formula, and you all know that. And if you don't, shame on you. You should know the quadratic formula.
These are little beats, yeah, but you gotta keep your trying.
Opposite of B, plus or minus.
Yep. No, he's right, he's right. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Kids, you just can't forget that one, okay? X equals. So in my problem, here it is. My problem, it will be negative 3. What's under the radical? 9 minus 4 times 1 times 1 over 2a. A is 1, B is 3, and C is 1, right? So negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2.
That's an answer.
That's actually 2 of the answers. The other answer is right here. Your job was to find the 3 answers to this question, the 3 roots. So you guessed 1, but when you divided it out, you got something that didn't factor. Usually when we've done this is factored, and that's, you know, like if you get x plus 5, x plus 2, like we had a minute ago, we said the other 2 roots were negative 5 and negative 2. Well, this time it didn't work out like that. We had to use the quadratic formula, and the other 2 roots look like this.
So every time we use it, like if we were to use the quadratic formula instead of factor, like we have an answer like that instead?
No, you'll get an answer like that, but it will simplify to this.
Oh, okay.
Because you'll end up like with a 25 here, and the square root of 25 is just 5, and then all right, good neat deal. Next page. We'll do this one and then we'll stop probably. Number 10, write the equation of this curve. So, you know how on your little practice work we did, that classwork, I gave you an equation and you graphed it. Now you're going backwards. I have given you the graph, and I did not label my points. Shame on me, so I'll label them now. So it looks like this. All right, so tell me, how do we start? Look at the points, because the points are going to give you your parentheses. So we're going to start with the parentheses that will be x plus 4, x plus 1, and x minus 3. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, Nina is saying, okay, the next thing I have to look at is, am I going to have any exponents? Are there going to be any exponents on here? You can tell from your picture, because if there's let's say there's a power of 2, what does your picture do? Bounces off, right? So see, that one goes through. No exponent. Look at this one though. What is that doing? So that means the x plus 1 is going to get a square. And so is the 3 going to get a square? Okay. Now, there's still one more thing to find. You're almost there. You have no idea what number is out there in front, right? Remember the problem on your thing there? It was like a -2 or something. You don't know what that number is. You have to figure it out. And how do we figure it out? We plug in this point right here. So 10 in for y and 2 in for x. So 10 equals, and I don't know what n is, and then 2 in for all my x's. And now I'm going to do the arithmetic. So 2 plus 4. Watch this one. 2 plus 1 is 3, but squared is 9. 2 minus 3 is -1, but squared is 1. So let's multiply all that together. 9 times 6 times 1 is 54. So 10 equals n times 54. So I'll divide by 54. And n equals, that reduces 5 over 27. And then I gotta write an answer down. Very good. Y equals 5/27. X plus 4.
X plus 1 squared. X minus 3.
Perfect. It is so tempting, kids, after you've gone through all this and done all this work, it's so tempting to say that's the answer and stop there. But remember, your answer is the equation. You're writing the equation. So you put that 5/27 in, and that's what you got. Okay? Good work, folks.